Hello and welcome to Chesapeake Weekly Home Edition. Well, the second ever Chesapeake virtual town meeting brought in a ton of fantastic questions from all throughout the community. Right now, we're working on getting those answers from the experts here in the city, and we'll be providing those answers to you starting next week, located at cityofchesapeake.net/virtual town meeting. So that's where you're going to be able to find the answers. And even if you didn't submit a question, it's going to be such a valuable resource. You'll learn things you never knew, you didn't know, never knew you needed to know. Lots of good stuff coming out starting next week. So be sure to check on that. Now, we wanted to give you a little bit of a sneak peek. So one of the most popular questions was, what's up with the Deep Creek Bridge replacement project? Great question. So we went to Public Works Director Earl Sorey to find out the latest on this Army Corps of Engineers project.
So what's the latest with the Deep Creek Bridge? So as many of you may know, that bridge is owned and operated by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. They are managing construction. The city of Chesapeake as well as VDOT has partnered with the Corps on that project. What they tell us is they continue to work through the property acquisition to support the project. I think they're down now to 2 properties, so that's the area of focus, as well as relocation of utilities so that construction can start next year. So their schedule is the project would be advertised for construction later this year. They would go through a procurement process and then start construction in the spring of 22. So what will the lane closures look like once construction happens? Great question, and the project will be phased. So in the initial phase, what will happen is the existing bridge will remain open and in operation, and a parallel bridge will be built immediately south of the existing bridge. Once that parallel bridge is constructed, traffic will then be switched to the parallel bridge. The old bridge will be demolished, and then a new bridge will be built back in its place. So the plan is to have traffic moving throughout construction. There may be a few select times where there'll need to be some closures, perhaps nighttime or over the weekends, but the plan is to keep the existing bridge in operation all the way through construction.
Now, another popular question revolves around development and future growth of our city. And of course, anytime that we're talking about planning, future planning, we of course go to the planning department. So they have what's called the comprehensive plan, a super valuable document. It's actually a blueprint for future growth and land use right here in Chesapeake. Now, it's particularly helpful when we're talking about all the different little pockets that we have here in Chesapeake, the different communities and the varying needs that each different community has. So a great example of that is South Norfolk. South Norfolk has truly blossomed over the past several years, much thanks to all of that planning. So here's former Director Jalay Shea of the Planning Department to talk to us a little bit more about the comprehensive plan and how that played into the development in South Norfolk.
Chesapeake has numerous great places to live, and each is unique. And with our 353 square miles of diverse landscapes, we have something for everyone looking to make Chesapeake their home. Whether it's traditional neighborhoods with front porches and tree-lined streets, or suburban-style neighborhoods with backyard barbecues, or new and exciting mixed-use communities with shopping and dining right outside your door, there are many choices for Chesapeake residents. Chesapeake's comprehensive plan is based on a vision of a collection of many unique villages and activity centers. Some are historical, traditional communities, while others represent new lifestyle opportunities to meet the changing needs of our residents. The plan outlines the needed actions to make the vision a reality. A great example of both a traditional and historic community is that of South Norfolk. South Norfolk has been experiencing a renaissance with young families looking to connect with their neighbors and their community. South Norfolk is one of our older historic and traditional communities with lots of community pride and heart. Here you will find a nationally registered historic district, complete with 4th of July parades and community gardens. The implementation of the Poindexter Corridor Strategic Development Plan has strategically led to both private and public investment in our beautiful parks, a new Jordan Bridge and a new Poindexter Street Bridge, a new streetscape for Poindexter Street, the new 4Kids headquarters, the new Woodley Shops on Poindexter, home of the new Family Dollar store, and a new South Norfolk Municipal Building that is currently under design.
You can view Moving Forward Chesapeake 2035 Comprehensive Plan at cityofchesapeake.net/planning. Now, while you're there, you're also going to find a new tool. It's actually an interactive map that helps you search for proposed development. So to learn more about this great new tool for everybody, we went to the planning department and spoke with Rebecca Benz.
There's a development mapping tool that allows you to check on applications that are going to public hearing through the planning department. If you type in either the application number that you might see on an orange sign along the road, or if you type in status, you can check the status, all approved, denied, pending cases within the city. And you can also check, use the Near Me tool to zoom in on a particular application and enter a radius, for example, 1 mile, and it will show all the applications that are pending, approved, denied, withdrawn within 1 mile of an area. So developers can use this tool to decide if they want to move forward with an application of a certain type, or if they want to redevelop, or if they want to do a rezoning and possibly add more residential or commercial in an area. They can see what's pending or has been recently approved surrounding that area.
You can find a link to this interactive map as well as a PowerPoint presentation to help you understand what it's for and how to use it at cityofchesapeake.net/planning. Well, there's a new scam in town, and this time someone's claiming to be part of the Chesapeake Sheriff's Office. Well, spoiler alert, they're not. So we went over to the Sheriff's Office to determine exactly what's going on and how we can tell fact from fiction.
With the current scam that's going on in the city of Chesapeake, someone is impersonating to be a Lieutenant Johnson with the Chesapeake Sheriff's Office. First off, we do not have a Lieutenant Johnson employed with the Chesapeake Sheriff's Office. One of the key things that Sheriff Jim O'Sullivan wants to assure our residents of is that we do not receive payments over the phone for anything. If you're contacted by someone that is pretending to be with the Chesapeake Sheriff's Office, please hang up and contact the police department. Also, you can contact us directly at 382-6159.
Shifting gears a little bit now, let's talk about some history. So May is Historic Preservation Month here in Chesapeake, and while we are a relatively new city, our history goes back many, many, many years. And we've got so many historic hotspots that make Chesapeake a great place to learn. Now, the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department actually has some really exciting projects coming up in the near future to truly take advantage of all this history. Now, during the month of May, the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department is putting together several videos a week to teach us a bit about some of these historic locations. So here's one of the videos that Parks and Rec put together for this month.
Hi there, my name is Jennifer.
Hi, my name is Irvin.
And I'm Amelia. And we are members of the Chesapeake Historic Preservation Commission. We're here today to invite you on a virtual journey of Chesapeake to learn more about the historic treasures in our city.
This video is part of the Historic Preservation Month series, where we will share exciting stories from different parts of Chesapeake. This episode will focus on Southern Chesapeake and all the awesome history there is to explore.
Today we're at the Dismal Swamp. It once covered more than 1 million acres in Virginia and North Carolina, but is now reduced to a bit more than 1/10 of that size. The swamp was considered home and refuge to generations of indigenous people and later maroon communities.
The swamp became a permanent home of choice for people who were enslaved to escape the horrors of slavery. These were known as maroon communities. The depths of the Dismal Swamp were a perfect refuge. Muddy, swampy water was filled with a variety of snakes, water moccasins, and a wide variety of wildlife like bears, wildcats, and more. This environment was raw but safe because it was extremely hard to reach.
George Washington first visited the swamp in 1763 and organized the Dismal Swamp Land Company, which was involved in draining and logging portions of the swamp. Work started in 1793. The canal was dug completely by hand. Most of the labor was done by enslaved people. It took approximately 12 years of back-breaking construction under unfavorable conditions to complete the 22-mile-long waterway, which opened in 1805. The canal is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and has been designated a National Civil Engineering Landmark.
Parallel to the Dismal Swamp Canal is the Dismal Swamp Canal Trail, which is a more than 8-mile-long paved trail. Behind me is the superintendent's house, which is about at the 5-mile mark on the trail. By the late 1800s, the activity on the Dismal Swamp Canal increased greatly. The canal was a key place for commerce and boat transportation. Over time, tolls were charged for maintenance and improvement.
It is believed the superintendent's house was built in the 1820s. Tolls were collected from wagons on the road and boats on the canal. Think of it this way. This house was in the middle of a 4-lane highway. Road traffic on one side and boat traffic on the other. It was a toll plaza. It's believed to be the only structure still standing that was owned by the Dismal Swamp Canal Company, and it sits on the land once owned by that company.
Thank you so much for joining us today on our journey through history in southern Chesapeake. Make sure to check out the Historic Preservation Commission Facebook page on Tuesdays and Thursdays in May to see more Historic Preservation Month videos. See you soon as we bring history to life in the month of May.
And coming soon to this site, the historical village at the Dismal Swamp, featuring the Cornland School, soon to come.
So again, make sure that you're following Parks, Recreation, and Tourism on Facebook. Not only will you get to see these Historic Preservation Month videos as soon as they're released throughout the month of May, but Parks and Rec always posts really fun information about the cool things you can do all throughout our city. They've got a lot of fun stuff going on, and this summer is going to be the best one yet. So make sure you follow Parks, Recreation, and Tourism on Facebook. Well, a Chesapeake Public Schools teacher and author is localizing the impacts of the Vietnam War. His book, The Long Journey Home, The Untold Stories of Forgotten Soldiers, is providing some really valuable life lessons to teenagers here in our community. Author and teacher Craig Blackman was on a recent episode of Peak Life. Here's a little clip of that.
I grew up with the Vietnam experience. I was too young to serve, but I remember feeling so badly for veterans when they came home because they were so mistreated. I mean, if you can imagine that you're in a firefight in South Vietnam, and then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, you're on Battlefield Boulevard trying to survive after that experience. And there was no way to debrief them because they came back individually. And there was no parade for them when they came back. And imagine having somebody, like an officer saying, take off your uniform because don't let them know that you were serving your country in Vietnam. Or to be spit upon when you came back to America after defending your friends and your comrades and helping the people of South Vietnam to retain their freedoms. So that really always just bothered me. They're never welcomed home, and so I wanted to locally welcome them home. So what I wanted to do is make the Vietnam War more local. I wanted to make it a project where students would appreciate the sacrifices of veterans in our community. And the piece that I really loved was the intergenerational learning, because you had 17-year-olds, and for them Vietnam was ancient history, but talking to Gold Star families who lost a loved one, who are in their, probably their 80s, and to have that kind of communication in this age was so special for me. At the same time, I wanted to have the skills of a historian perfected so they could do interviews and look at primary source material at the same time and just make it more organic, make it living history for them.
You can watch the rest of that interview at youtube.com/Chesapeake Television. Well, Memorial Day is Monday, and with that comes some changes to the city schedules. All city offices, courts, community centers, and the Visitors Center will be closed on Monday, May 31st. All Chesapeake Public Libraries will be closed on Sunday, May 30th and Monday, May 31st. There will be no changes to the trash or recycling collection schedules. The Chesapeake Mayor's Commission on Veterans Affairs will hold a wreath-laying ceremony at 11 a.m. on Monday, the 31st, at the Chesapeake Veterans Memorial. Now that's right in front of City Hall on Cedar Road. The ceremony will be open to the public, and it'll also be aired live on Chesapeake Television. That's Cox Channel 48 or Verizon Channel 43. And it'll air on the city's Facebook page, which is facebook.com/City of Chesapeake. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful long weekend. Stay healthy, and we'll see you right back here again next week.